Hey guys, so it's Saturday night and I was cooking and I was listening to a webinar in a course that I'm taking right now. And it touched upon a few things that I felt would be incredibly relatable to anybody looking at our website or any of our members and clients. Um, just talking to behavior change. Um, this is something that when I was in college, I did all sorts of sports nutrition, basic nutrition, strength training, all those classes for exercise science. But the one that I remember and will forever remember actually made a noticeable impact on my life right then was my behavior change class. Um, at that point in my life, I was very confused with what I wanted to do, and as in college and just not making decisions that were in line with who I wanted to be. And they challenged us to try and change our behavior for a month using what we learned. And I was successful in that it was the first month I consecutively worked out every day. And I also cut out alcohol. And in college, when you live with, 6 people, that's a challenge. But that was probably one of the pivotal points in my life where I realized how much personal control I had over myself. So that brings me to what I learned or was reminded of in this webinar today, which this webinar basically brought up Pavlov and his study on conditioned behavior, which is, it could be seen as a stimuli then causing you to react in some way that is predictable. So maybe every time, you hear the phone ring, you run to it. That's a conditioned behavior. It's pretty simple. That's just a small piece of the puzzle of what conditioned behavior is. But either way, so this guy named Martin Seligman, I do not remember if that's how you say his last name. I'm really sorry if it's not how you say it. Because I feel terrible when I say people's names are wrong because my name is hard to say. Did a study on dogs, and what he did was he restrained 3 dogs in a hammock. Mind you, this is in 1967, so this was legal back then. And he would randomly shock the dogs. So they would hear a buzzer and they would get shocked and they couldn't get away from it. Took those same dogs, put them in a box. The box had a split down the middle. One side was full with electrical wiring, and so was the other. But one would be on and one would be off. He put the dogs in this box after they had been in the hammock and already shocked. And he would shock them through the floor and play the same sound that they had heard when they were in the hammock. And what he saw was at first they kind of jumped, and then these dogs just stopped and they laid down and they took it. They just took all the shocks that came to them. The funny thing is, he did the same box experiment with dogs in another round, and they had not been in the hammock. So they had just come into this box and all of a sudden received these shocks through the floor. Those dogs would jump over to the opposite side where there was no shock every time the floor started to shock them. And those dogs just learned the pattern of you have to jump every time there's a shock. The dogs who had been in the hammock just laid down. They gave up. So this brings me to the concept of learned helplessness. And the reason I wanted to use that study is because I think it's a powerful one. And when I was in school and heard that, I remember thinking to myself, I do that to myself. Like there's things that I do that I feel could definitely be categorized under learned helplessness. And, it really made me think when I was, 15 minutes ago cooking dinner, and I was like, gosh, it's sad to me because this is what so many people face when it comes to fitness. They've had these limits that they've had on themselves their whole life. And look at your limits like the hammock. You have these limits that people have said about you, that you have built of yourself, that you have told yourself. And every time, somebody will just say something to you, or your parents or you, and it's just coming at you, coming at you, coming at you. And you're restrained right there because maybe you're young, and a lot of times you're a kid, so you don't even have much insight into how to use your brain to think correctly. So you're trapped in this hammock that is essentially your mind. Um, and then there's people who have never had that hammock or never had those self-defeating thoughts, and they would be the ones who would hop over the wall in the box. While those of us, I say us because this is something I'm constantly working on, have those self-defeating thoughts. We've been in that hammock of our own mind with our own limitations for so long that put us in a box when we're not restrained, when we're in the perfect environment, like to grow, to do whatever, to get your dream job, to get your dream body. We don't even know that we're there because we are so unaware, because all we see and all we feel is those shocks. And you're just delivering them on yourself now. They're almost ingrained in you. The logic that you can't control anything anymore, that those are just going to keep coming at you. You're not in that hammock anymore, though. This could be something that happened years ago. I see people who, they were hurt by somebody years ago, or they tried a diet years ago, and they still have that mindset that something or someone is not for them. And it's literally the hammock of your thoughts. I hope this is an okay analogy, because to me, I was like, that makes so much sense. But do you see? You probably are in great conditions to do everything you want to do. When it comes to fitness, I use fitness because this is what, we talk about, but we all know it's a lifestyle change. When it comes down to it, everyone's excuse is just their hammock. It's their hammock of the thoughts that they have sewn around themselves for however many years, and they are so interwoven into this that they can't even see that there's a way out, that they're in the perfect condition to do these things. So, to be honest, that's pretty much what I wanted to say today. I honestly hope that resonates with somebody, because I know that some of the mindset psychology part to fitness is a little hard to grasp, and I feel like when I find something that is a good metaphor or a good explanation, that I should share it, because I know that just one thing that someone says can change your entire mindset. So I hope that was helpful. Just think about it. What are you keeping yourself interwoven in? What thoughts are your hammock? What is keeping you there? Everything is perfect. The time is perfect to do these things that you feel the need to do, but you just have that hammock holding you there, and it's not actually there.